Da 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 dan dan 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 da dan dan da 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 dan dan da 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 dan dan da 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 dan dun 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 dun. Oops. Hi everyone. Welcome to Social Worker Saga. My name's Nick James. I've been a children's social worker for nearly 25 years now, and I've worked in the UK for over 20 of those years. In that time, I've had several different roles in different settings, both community and hospital. I've been a social worker, a team manager, service manager. I've been a placement teacher, ASYE coordinator, workforce development service manager, principal social worker, and I've held several boutique roles for whatever the department required at the time. So I've had a hand in creating a social work academy, a teaching partnership, done a lot of stuff around recruitment and retention, and of course, Ofsted preparation. Now, wherever I am and whatever my job, I'm always reviewing case files. Over the years, I've read hundreds, if not thousands. I've seen a lot of great work doing this. I've seen a lot of work that could be improved a bit. And unfortunately, I've seen quite a lot of work which is just subpar. Now, interestingly, when I speak to the workers whose case recordings are in that last category, with a couple of notable exceptions, I usually find that the workers aren't actually bad at their jobs. They generally know their children and families well enough, they have a decent understanding of the risks in the case, and there's often some form of a plan that they're following, even if it's not written down. Now, their difficulties are usually with writing, so case notes, assessments, chronologies, summaries, and so on. Sometimes this is due to an undiagnosed condition such as dyslexia, but more often I find it's because they were never taught how to write well, either generally or specifically in a children's social work context. There's also a collection of bad habits in children's social work writing which have permeated, and now many assume people to be just the way things are done. A great deal of the work I do with children's social work departments these days is around undoing these habits and improving their writing. So with this channel, I'm aiming to address some of these bad habits, but full disclosure, most of the ones I'm going to talk about are things that I've been guilty of myself earlier in my career. So there's no judgment. I just want you to learn from me faster than it took me to learn. So I'm going to tell the story of a social worker named Susie and her work with a family. This case is completely made up, but it's based on cases I've worked on and contains issues you should find quite familiar. Every episode, I'm going to cover a week or so in the life of the case, and then I'll go over the documentation relevant to the case that week. These examples are going to be written out in full, so you'll be able to follow along with what I'm doing. I'll also have a separate playlist with just the document writing part, so you can go back and review those without having to sit through all the case information again. I'm also going to post the documents online so you can read them through in full, but that's for later once I've created enough to justify a website. So as I said, this channel's focus is on writing. I'm not going to go over much theory or practice except where they intersect with what you're writing. So, for example, I'm going to touch on child development theory when we look at writing child and family assessments. I'm also going to look at how writing can help with empowering and anti-oppressive practice. But there's already a lot of stuff online about theory and practice, so I'm going to keep my focus on the writing. I'm going to detail the purpose of each document we cover and why it's important in promoting the safety and well-being of the children we work with. I'll give some tips on how you can make the whole writing process easier for you to write, but also so other people can read it. I'm going to show you some of the bad habits I mentioned above, why I think workers and managers keep repeating them, and what you should do instead. I think that this should be helpful for all social workers and managers, but especially students, newly qualifieds, and workers who are new to the UK. Children's social workers in Australia and other countries may also find it useful, but as I work in the UK, I'm going to be referring to British legal and policy systems. Most places should have laws and policies that are reasonably analogous. So, about me personally, in terms of Burnham's social graces, I'm a middle-aged, middle-class, mostly able-bodied, straight white cis bloke. I'm tertiary educated, I'm not religious. Culturally, I'm Australian, but I've got UK citizenship. In the UK, I am an immigrant, but I've never actually experienced personally any negativity except around the cricket and rugby and occasional convict jokes. I don't have any partner, I don't have any kids, I don't drink, I don't smoke. I'm quite boring in all of that regard. Oh, I do know how to make ice cream. I learnt it during lockdown, and yeah, I'm paying for it now. On the plus side, my nieces do think that it's a superpower. Anyway, I've got all the outward privilege, basically. Inwardly, I'm a slightly more complex little bunny, but I'm going to spare you the details to maintain an air of mystery. Now, I try to be mindful about how others' experiences differ from my own, but I expect to get things wrong, and I welcome good faith constructive input where I may have overlooked something or made some incorrect assumptions. If you like the channel and the things I teach, please forward the link to your service manager, principal social worker and workforce development leads. If they like it and want to discuss hiring me for training, they can get in touch with me at this email address, socialworkersaga@gmail.com. I'm always happy to get a bit of work. So what I'm going to show you are the ways that I find work best, otherwise I wouldn't be teaching them. I'm not claiming that they are definitively the best, but if you take on board what I'm saying, your work will probably improve. If your manager wants you to do things differently, well, they're the one who's paying you. Anyway, the first few episodes will be about some general thoughts I have about writing and children's social work. Then I'm going to get into the case study and documents proper. If you're a fellow trainer and want to use some of these ideas in your training, I'm happy for that to be done under the Creative Commons license conditions. That means that you can use what you like, but you must give credit, including a link to this channel, and you can't make any profit off it beyond what you would in your job as a trainer. Finally, you'll notice that my sense of humour can be a little bit strange, so I'll try and keep it to a minimum. I'll also be making random movie and TV references because that's a thing that I do. Right, well that's it from me for now. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you do that, it makes the little gremlin who lives inside the YouTube algorithm happy, and when the little gremlin is happy, it encourages more people to watch. So I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.